I woke up this morning and it was too beautiful to stay inside. It was too cold and not enough water to go fishing. So I made my way down to the Moses Lake Gate. And I took my drone down there and decided to drone that part of Moses Lake. Now, I have previously droned the other end up by 146 that has little finger islands in them. But this is a time that I'm going to be droning the gate and the marsh that's right inside the gate. And then outside the gate is Giraffe Island. Now again, the water is incredibly low and you can see it rushing out of the gate in just a few moments. But it's incredibly clear. And this gives you an idea of what's going on at the gate at Moses Lake. You can see the drop-offs. You can see the little reef that is there. You can see the little channel markers. There's going to be a boat that comes through there in just a few moments. But many of you are familiar with this particular spot. You can get to it by going down Skyline Drive. You can launch up there at 146, or you can launch at the fish. I forgot the name of the place. The Fish Place is the name of it. It doesn't have any bait, but it has great hamburgers. Now, I have fished up in this marsh twice and really haven't done a tremendous amount of good. I've done most of my fishing on the other end of Moses Lake. But I thought that we would take a look at this together. Now, this particular little trough that you're looking at feeds back into the island, to the homes that are back in there. And you can see this boat coming through, and I was thinking to myself, it must have an incredibly shallow draft, because I know that can't be more than 2 or 3 foot deep. But yet he made it. He made it all the way out to the gate and made it out into the bay. And that feeds from those homes, those new homes that are there on the Skyline Drive. There we can see him, and you can see him follow the channel markers. And again, I'm thinking this fool's gonna get stuck. But he didn't. He's a better boatsman than I am. That's the reason I stick to kayaks. Look at the silt that's being pulled out of this marsh system. You can really see it as it's being pulled out of the gate. Again, in just a few moments, we're going to begin to explore some of the other areas, both inside and outside the gate. On the outside of the gate, I believe it's called Giraffe Island or Giraffe Reef. And we'll be taking a look at that in just a few moments. Again, this is down in Texas City. There is the gate, and you can see the silt that's being pulled out. You can also see the water that's being pulled out. Obviously, it was an outgoing tide. I do not know how deep that water is. I know that there's a deep hole on the inside of the gate, and we'll be looking at that late in the movie, late in the video. But we're going to follow the shoreline down and take a good look at this Giraffe Island. I'm not for sure about the drop-off, how deep that is or how steep that is, but you can see that, again, the water is down some 2 or 3 foot. It's tremendously down and getting lower by the moment that day. Not much of a north wind, maybe about 8 to 10 knots. But as we work our way up the shoreline, you can see the drop-off, the gradual drop-off. And I'm guessing that the white rock up there is probably where the shoreline is on a typical tide. It always amazes me the number of tires that you can find out in the water. I'm sure that there's lures attached to them. And we're going to just follow this bend across. We're going to go out there to the end of it. And we're also going to take a look into that little lagoon. And again, I would imagine that that's going to hold water, but today it was just a matter of inches deep. I did go over it trying to find some redfish or something in there and didn't see much of anything. But you can see as we're making our way to the outside of this island, this sandbar. And again, normally I know that there's some that is above the water. I don't know how much. But I know that this is on a lot of the aerial maps on Google Maps. I talked to Tobin over at Trout Support yesterday when we were looking at the Dickinson Bayou footage, and he said the water is unusually clear this time of year. It's low and it's clear, so normally it's not this clear. He also said that that was a bird sanctuary, those 2 islands that had been built. And when we were talking about the reefs, he said that he had Reef Recon that had all those reefs marked. Look at that guy, he's out there on a boat at the end of that thing fishing the drop-off. He has been a tremendous help to me and taught me a tremendous amount. That's Tobin over at troutsupport.com. And I can't highly recommend him enough. He enjoys looking at these, and then he tells me what I'm looking at because I can't figure it out. Now, I've never been out on the outside of Moses Lake through the gate, so this is all new to me. But you can see on a day in which the water, the tide is up, that there would be a little pool, a little indention there. And all of these can help you get an idea when you fish these drop-offs. There's a crab trap. It's out there in the middle. Don't you wish the water was that blue all the time? I don't think it's even that blue today, but the camera picks it up and makes it that way. We're going out past that little small island, and these are a couple of reefs, a couple of sandbars that are out there at the very end. You can see how shallow the water is. And we're going to turn the drone around in just a moment and take a better look at this as we come back. And again, this is out on the end of that island. It looks like there may be some shell that's out there. But we're going to turn the drone around and give you a little bit better look. As we come back over the top of this looks a little bit more shell than it does sand in there. And this is just a little bit submerged. So it would be a good 2 to 2.5 foot under the water on a normal tide, I believe. I don't know the names of these reefs. I don't know if they have any names. I know that Tobin over at Trout Support told me that many of the reefs that are out here have been named. And again, this is outside my Bellevue because I've not fished these reefs. There's not a lot of explanation that needs to be done as we kind of fly over the shallows, so I'm just going to kind of hush and watch this with you and look and see what I can learn. Now we're making our way over to the outside, the bay side of these little finger islands. And you can see how it's fairly shallow out there. And here we get a little bit better look back toward the gate. And again, I don't know how much of this is normally submerged, but on this day, you can see that it's unusually low water. Now we're making our way back into the gate. We're going to be looking at some of the marsh systems, and right on the inside of the gate, I believe it's Edwards Island, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I have fished this Marsh system on 2 different occasions, and it really has not been productive for me. Either I didn't hit it at the right time, or it shows my skill as a fisherman, probably more the latter than the former, but still it is there. And on this day, it's predominantly mud, it's shallow, but it gives you an idea of the of the layout of this marsh system. There's not that many channels. There's not really a channel that goes through it, although you can see one kind of up in the right-hand corner. There are a couple of small, deep pockets, deeper pockets, and there is the big flat that's up there in the top left. But over the next few minutes, we're just going to kind of let you take a look at this and see what you see. And again, I fished it twice, didn't really have any good luck, but perhaps, again, I didn't catch it at the right time of the year. And that's Edwards Island. I believe that's Edwards Island. Going back over into Moses Lake. And then that's not Dollar Bay, but some other bay that they have named that. Now we're going to make our way out into Moses Lake. There are a number of reefs that you can find on any map of Moses Lake. And again, I've not fished these much, if at all, but you can see them. They're a little bit more distinctive today. And so I thought that we would take a look at them. Now, it is my understanding that up in the very, very top, up in that corner, there is a deep, deep hole that is some 15 to 20 foot deep, and also right there at the mouth of the gate, there is a hole that is some 15 to 20 foot deep. We'll be looking at the one at the gate in just a few minutes, but this is just one of the reefs that are there. This one is marked. You can see that. I don't know if that's sand or gravel or rock. I would probably guess it's a little bit of all of it, but you can see it there, and we'll take a look and go over the top of it. I think that it would be interesting to see that little cut in between those two reefs. That looks like it feeds a little bit of deeper water off into that reef from between there. And you can see how this is laid out. Again, I think that we're going to have the camera pan up so that you can see where it is in perspective to the gate. And now we're back at the gate, and we're going to go over to one of the reefs that is, about 45 degrees from the gate. It's one of the smaller ones, but what I found interesting is it looks like there is a good depth drop-off off the nose of this reef. Now, I must admit to you, when I was looking at the first cut of this video, this looked like an alligator nose. So I don't know what Reef Recon over at Trout Support calls it, but it looks like an alligator reef to me. Hey, this is my video. I can say what I want. But I want you to notice off the nose of that reef, off the very snout of it, if you will, how deep that water looks. And again, I know there's some holes that are up in there. That does look like an alligator, doesn't it? I know that there's some deep water up in there, and I know that there's some up by the corner, but there may be some more in there that I do not know about. I've not fished this area of Moses Lake. But I did want to make it obvious that there are some reefs up there, and there are others back on the other end of Moses Lake up toward 146. That water looks deeper. That water looks like it drops off. And again, there's some silt or something that's up in there, but that water looks like it drops off into some deeper water, and that may be good for some trout this time of the year. Right off the nose of that thing, it just looks like it drops into some deeper water. Now this is a view of that deep water that's up by the gate. You can see a lot of the silt being pulled out, but you can see, and I'm trying to kind of adjust the camera to give you a good idea. I fished that a couple of times and I caught big gaff top. That was the extent of my catching there. I've seen other people catch a whole lot up through there, fishing from the rocks. There's some rocks that you can fish from, and on normal days reach into that drop off. You can see some folks through there, but I just thought that this was kind of cool. Now I'm just playing. I'm on the outside of the gate, and I just was trying to get a good closing shot. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it? I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope that it has helped you. And again, enjoy it and have a great day. That is the DJI, and there is my wonderful, wonderful blue sky kayak. Have a good day, guys.